Hello, today I would like to talk about design thinking in practice. Once again, my name is Chihiro, and I am a senior assistant professor at Keio University in Japan. So let's quickly wrap up what we've talked last time about what exactly is design thinking. Yes, I have briefed you already last time that design thinking integrates the observation, the ideation, the process of build to think, and also collaboration. So it requires lots of observation, inputs, lots of iteration processes and prototyping. And last but not least, it requires lots of collaboration. Design thinking cannot happen by yourself. It should happen in a group. Last time I have briefed you IDEO's design thinking process and also the design council's double diamond process. So this right here is the IDEO's process of inspiration, ideation, and implementation. And then this right here is design council's double diamond process, which starts from the challenge and goes to the outcome. You start by discovering the issue, defining what it is that you want to tackle, and then you develop once again, and then you deliver. Both of this, you can see how it's not a linear process. It's you have to keep going back and forth, back and forth. So it's not just one way, but you can always go the other way around. It's a matter of iteration, going back and forth once, over and over again. So today I would like to talk more about the examples that I have, especially for my own self. Two cases in particular. One, I would like to talk about a project that I did with a World Heritage, Cultural Heritage called Todaiji Temple. It's in Japan. We did this project in 2012, so it's been a while. But this was a collaboration project with 3 organizations of academia and the World Heritage Temple. So this time we created an AR app that enhances the worshiping experience. So we created 2 apps that could be called one a Todaiji time journey, which is a window for the journey to the past. Since this temple has been around for 1,300 years or so, it has a really, really long historical background. And by using this app, the people who are not the monks can actually try to see how it was back in those days. And the second one we created was called the Todaiji Landscape Byobu, which is a porthole to view all the rituals that is happening in the temple. So this goes through the rituals that is actually currently going on throughout the seasons. So the monks, they do lots of practice and rituals. So every season they have lots of things. So each and every month we wanted to enable those that usually cannot see what's actually happening behind the scenes. But the people who have came would can actually see how these rituals might be happening. Actually is happening. So how I created this, our team created this, we've done ethnography observation. So we've actually seen how the monks are actually doing their practices in the temple. And then we did some ideation of how could we kind of tell their stories through the technology. And then we did lots of prototyping. And then we created the app that we just showed you just now. And then we've done plural times user studies and iteration. A second example that might a bit more recent example is a Ryokan project. Ryokans are the Japanese very traditional taverns that we did in 2016. So this was a collaboration with the government, the academia, and the industry. So we collaborated with a Ryokan resort in Ibusuki, which is the really south tip of Japan. And this time we created a mobility service that can support the hospitality of the resort itself. So what if some technology in the future, for example, autonomous driving in this case, could support the hospitality that is already high quality, but how can we make it even more high quality and support the people that are working? So our idea was to be able to call the driverless car, autonomous driving technologies, to exactly where they are within the through a mobile app, and they will come. The mobility will come to pick you up by the door. And then you can actually go around with that autonomous driving car around in that huge territory of the resort. And it can actually do it automatically. And you can focus on what exactly is on the sightseeing, for example. One use case that we actually also figured was that we can even have like no persons on the driverless car, and even the luggage, for example, can be carried around within the huge territory of the resort. So this was created also, once again, upon ethnography observation of how the people within the resort town, in the Ryokan resort town, work and support the mobility. And then we did some prototyping on what kind of, how could this be used? And then we did a series of user studies on having the people that are actually working get on them and to do the mobility within the huge territory. So then this is basically how we do this in practice. And I'd like to briefly summarize how do we actually conduct the ethnography observation. So we would like to share with you, it says 3, but it's actually 4, the 4 steps of fieldwork using ethnography. So then we first want to go through the master apprenticeship model, decide whom you want to actually conduct the fieldwork with. And then write thick descriptions on what exactly you have experienced. And then you can just analyze it from 5 perspectives, and then abstract the mental models of which the human has in order to achieve that goal. So I'd like to first talk about the master apprenticeship model, which is a relationship model that it's good to learn about the target's work as if you were doing an apprenticeship in order to learn the skills from a master. So then in order to do so, you, the designer, have to be an apprentice for the master. And in order to do so, you need to have empathy and you need to create trust by building the rapport towards the master. And in order to do so, participating of observation is actually quite effective because the master itself, he's the master at doing some kind of a work, in this case, doing the service, the hospitality service, for example, in the resort town example. But, he himself is not a teacher, which means he's not actually really good at teaching, but he's actually a master in doing the work, which means, the master can actually teach by actually doing the work and showing. And whilst doing so, he can also talk and describe what exactly is it that is he himself is doing. So then you as an apprenticeship will have to copy in order to understand what exactly is it that he is doing in order to get the job to be done. Whilst you are doing the participating observation, you will be required to record down every single actions that the master was taking. And after you've done that field work, you have to quickly wrap up. So you write down your field work right after you have finished, and writing down the thick description can lead to understanding the master with empathy. And it can be an opportunity to extend your everyday living. So then we use this from the anthropologist Clifford Geertz's idea of thick description. So you write your sentences in the order that you remember chronologically. And then after you've written down everything down in sentences, then we use 5 perspectives to understand the phenomena that was going on. So then how does the master really achieve the goal? Regarding 5 aspects, 5 perspectives of the flow, the sequence, the artifacts, the physical space, and the cultural aspects. So flow talks about the communication flow amongst the people or the artifacts that have responsibilities and the roles that are coordinated with each other in order to get the job to be done. The sequence talks about the tasks that were happening over time, step by step in chronological order, that reveals their strategies or anything that they do in that particular order. All of these things have some kind of a reason. Artifacts talk about any kind of artifacts that the master uses or creates or modifies in order to achieve that goal. The physical space, so the physical environment that supports and enables the work that the master works in to get the job in the way. And last but not least, the cultural aspects talks about what kind of expectations, desires, policies, values, or even the entire approach that the master takes, including all the background information that would be needed. And then last but not least, we go on to abstracting the mental model of those persons. What a mental model is an internal representation of external reality, which is hypothesized to play a major role in cognition, reasoning, and decision making. So each and every human being actually have their own mental models, depending on what kind of roles you have, depending on what job you have to get done. So so it's like the order of things that's really intuitive. Some phenomenon X might happen if some kind of a phenomenon Y happens. You can kind of imagine, like, even without thinking so much, those actions that you kind of take without really thinking so much. So all these activities are represented as a set of cognitions and actions. So by forming these mental models, you will be very much in shape and understanding what exactly are these human beings working in. So then by capturing these, the ethnography that, doing the ethnography by capturing these 4 steps that I have introduced just now, should require you to very much understand in details of what kind of field work you have done. And that should support you with the ideation part and the iteration that you would have to keep going in order to actually do the practice of design thinking.